Well, still in Sierra Leone for us is Michael Odo, our journalist, and you just saw his reports there a moment ago. But in the studio with us is Razia Atman, the Deputy Editor-in-Chief here at Africanews. Razia, good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm great. How are you?
I'm all right. It's good to be here, especially because it's International Women's Day and, of course, following these very important elections in Sierra Leone.
Yes, indeed. Happy International Women's Day.
Thank you.
So let us quickly talk about Sierra Leone, which we've been covering. We've been giving coverage to the election since yesterday. From all that we have given, we have seen actually from Sierra Leone, how would you describe what the process looked like yesterday, beginning first from what the voter turnout was?
All right, so the voter turnout, the exact percentage of those who voted compared to the 3.1 million people who actually registered to vote can't be exactly figured out now. It's going to take some time, as the Electoral Commission has said. But yes, the voting, from what we have seen and the people we talked to presiding officers in Freetown, there's some positive response. Many people did actually show up to vote. We just don't have the exact numbers, and so many people, as Michael Odo reported, did show up very early, Jerry, at the polling station. Some did actually spend their nights on Tuesday at the polling stations just to be able to vote. And generally, from what we saw from the videos we've been running and more that we'll run, the situation was really calm yesterday morning as Sierra Leoneans went to the polls. Historic voting years after the Ebola crisis, in which thousands of people died. So it's really a positive response. We're expecting that indeed peacefully they can finish this process as it started, because so many of them were actually eager to see and make sure they have someone to replace by Koroma.
Well, so we do know for certain that vote count is on the way in Sierra Leone right now. But from all that we've seen so far, are there any indications as regards who is ahead, who is leading, and what are the earliest indications so far?
Well, Jerry, also on that, it's pretty difficult to tell, because the race has been very tightly between Koroma's hand-picked successor, Samora Kamara, and the opposition candidate, Julius Bio. These are the two people who've been going, horn to horn for this election. But the counting is underway, like we've mentioned, like we are seeing right now. And we know that constitutionally one must garner at least 55% of the vote to be able to win the presidential election, or to be able to be declared president of Sierra Leone. And the Electoral Commission is urging people to patiently wait for official figures. These official figures will come out maybe in hours, maybe in days, or a week.
Yes, Razia, so you say if no one meets the requirement, that the requirement is actually 55%. But if anyone does not meet that requirement, there will be a runoff. Sure. But we don't want to get ahead of ourselves. We just allow the process to run. But let us talk about the aftermath of the elections yesterday. Were there any clashes, and how was that dealt with, if at all? Was it totally peaceful?
Well, the elections, Jerry, did start on a very, very peaceful note. What we saw, the process was really calm. Sierra Leoneans did go to vote peacefully. There was a lot of, security installations. Police officers were deployed around Freetown and in many other towns in Sierra Leone to just make sure that everything did go peaceful. And that is how the election went. But there was, again, chaotic, finish to that. When the vote counting started later in the evening, there was some chaos, and we did see some clashes, especially in Freetown, where police did try to, squash, to disperse the rowdy residents in Freetown, the voters. And also the latest is that the opposition offices, the main opposition offices, were actually raided by police.
Well, I was going to ask you about if there were any discontent, but apparently there are feelers that there's a discontent from some people there in Sierra Leone, from what you've said now. Of
course, as you know, with African elections, there's always something to expect about acceptance of the results, but it's still too early, I guess, to talk about whether the results are genuine or not. We have to wait and see.
Yes, indeed. We have to wait. We will not get ahead of ourselves. So thank you very much, Razia, for joining us on the program this morning. And indeed, you're still very much with us today.
I'm still here. I will be back for the agenda.